Kris and Mads, sisters who love a good story. The only thing better than experiencing a good story is talking about it. We're here for the unfiltered, unhinged conversations with fellow story lovers and storytellers. And the occasional rant or rave about the shit that rips our hearts out and puts us back together again. The stuff that makes us laugh till we pee our pants. And the ones that teach us what it is to be human. Welcome to the Sisterhood. Welcome to the show, you guys. I wanted to introduce our guest for today. This is Margaret from Literally Literary on TikTok. She is a fellow content creator and a great friend. We actually originally conducted this interview on TikTok Live, so the first half is Kristen and I asking our questions, and then we opened up to audience questions for the second half. Enjoy the show. I think we should start off with our two truths and a lie. Have you had time to think about two truths and a lie about yourself, or are you totally on the spot right now?
No, I was pre-warned and then forgot about it until like 5 minutes ago, but I have good ones. I have one sister, I have two pets, and I'm bilingual.
Shit, Margaret, you were like so truthful and earnest with all of those. I believe all of them. What an actress. Okay, what is your heart telling you?
I don't know. I feel like you're probably bilingual because you're a smarty.
I feel like you don't have two pets. I feel like you do have pets, but not two.
Maybe she has three.
That's what I'm saying. The two part was very
Let's
specific.
go with this one. Let's go with that one.
We're going with the pets.
No, that was true. That was true.
Damn it!
I have a cat and a dog, and I'm not bilingual. Thank you for thinking of me. Oh. But I thought that would be good though, because in Canada, we were French and English. Yeah. And so, really should be, but not even a little bit.
What a missed
Are we ever going to get these right? I don't think on any interview ever we've guessed correctly.
We have literally, we're so trusting. I mean, we have a very important question here at the beginning that Kristen is going to ask you. I feel like Margaret and I have a little bit of a rapport because we buddy read and we text.
Yes.
So I feel like if we were at a party, I'd be like, hey, best friend, meet my best friend. You guys are going to be best friends. Because I know Mistborn was your, gateway back into adult reading, and Kristen is reading The Final Empire.
Oh my god, I'm gonna faint. Are you liking it?
I am really liking it.
That one has so much hype around it. I do feel like that would be a tough one not to like.
No, but I'm really liking it. I'm actually doing it on audio, and I slowed my audio way down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really liking it, and I'm also am I gonna do Stormlight? I don't know. I just really think I trust Brandon at this point.
Which in the Mistborn trilogy is your favorite, Margaret? Now that you've reread it and you love it, and what's your favorite one to go back and reread?
My favorite to reread was actually the second one, because that's one that I didn't really like the first time. Not that I disliked it, but compared to the first and third, it was a mediocre, not as good experience. But then on reread to see, for those that know, to see how much was seeded, I was like, okay, this is much better on reread. But I think my favorite's probably, I feel the first one. There's something I love the crew and the height. I just love that kind of structure to a book.
I read Assassin's Apprentice last month, and I've heard that you have a little bit of a love affair.
A little bit.
Hobb and Hobb.
Oh my god, no, you didn't like it? Why?
I slowed my audio down. I don't know what the muck was going on, but I feel like you need to tell me it's worth it. You need to sell me on
okay. Yeah. This is just funny because I was just fighting with Andy over Robin Hobb, so I'm ready to rumble. Well, what didn't you like about it?
Okay, so I really love anything medieval, and I love that he's an underdog in the beginning.
Okay.
There's a lot to love. Everything was so slow, and then at the end, I feel like I was spat in the face, and I'm like, the fuck was that? It was just a little too much and too loud at the end.
Kristen was also if this dude gets one more damn dog.
Yeah, if he adopts one more effing
No, listen, Hobb is so mean. She's mean. I respect that. Okay, I will say that, for me, Assassin's Apprentice, in retrospect, 100 stars. But, when I first read it, I was like, this is good. Like, that's not where my, like, love affair. Farseer trilogy in general is not where my obsession with Robin Hobb started. Like, I do like the Farseer trilogy. I really, really liked Royal Assassin. I gave that, like, that's where it picked up for me. And I think that if pacing was the issue, like, anyone that says she's too slow, like, that never gets better. Her books get thicker and they get slower, but the pacing, I do feel like in Royal Assassin's a bit better. Like, there's climaxes kind of within the story versus all being at the end, if that's part of the problem. But I do feel like in general, it's more so like Live Ship and Beyond that I really fell in love with. And like Tawny Man is my favorite trilogy ever. So I would say if you're really not liking it though, I literally also just said this to Andy, you can skip. Some people consider this slander. I think you can skip Farseer and go to Live Ship if you're really not vibing with Fitz. And like there's such an intimacy with Fitz, like being in his head, and he's such an emotional little boy that you like, sometimes it's exhausting to like be in his head for so long, but Live Ship is multi-POV. And so you get a bit more breathing room between you and the characters, but it's still amazing. So that would be my recommendation. But keep going, obviously.
Maybe it was a wrong place, wrong time. Maybe I was just so excited about it going into it that
Fair.
I did hype it really hard.
And then I was like, did I read the wrong thing?
I'm always so worried. Sometimes like I'm so like excitable about the books that I like, and sometimes I'm like, I need to chill because people are gonna, like, I can't set the bar too high and people are gonna be so disappointed.
But it's hard not to, and we like try to be hype about the things that we love. We can't help it. I also think maybe I'm just giving some people permission to not like what they don't like, and that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
What makes the perfect book for you? What's on the checklist? Like, what does it have to have? What's the perfect recipe of the perfect story for you? And basically just describe Realm of the Elderlings for us.
Well, that is right where my brain goes. But okay, I'm like a super character driven reader. And so like off the bat, for me to enjoy a book, I have to like the characters. I can read Realm of the Elderlings where like quite literally nothing happens for like hundreds of pages and I'm vibing. But if I like the characters, then I don't really care what the plot is. And then, so I feel like really like a medium to slow paced, really character driven. I do like there to be like fantastical elements. What else? A little bit of romance would be nice. Not like a big one, but like a little, like our sprinkle of like really inappropriate ships. I love that. I think that would probably be my perfect book. So yeah, basically the Realm of the Elderlings. And I also been really vibing with my older female unhinged characters. Mm-hmm. So that would also be just cherry on top.
Yes.
Like Sword Dragon. There's a great example. That's a perfect book.
Literally perfect.
I'm starting that tomorrow, so hopefully you guys didn't oversell this one.
Oh no. Well, she's slow for sure. Oh god, no worry.
Only for like 200 pages.
No, it's like it's a slow build, but like worth it. And then I feel like a slow explosion as well. Like it's not like you're sitting in the like explosion for a while. So emotional, weeping. I feel like, yeah, I was unprepared for like when the emotions were going to come in that book. I thought it was, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's many emotions.
Is that also something that's like in a top tier book for you? Is that it's going to be able to tug at those emotions?
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's also a really good one. I do like, Maddie and I were talking about that in I like to feel stressed while I'm reading. Yeah. It's not a calming.
Okay. Where do you get your recommendations from personally? And how do you prioritize your TBR and kind of build it?
So who I get my recs from, like, historically, like, I definitely, when I first came on TikTok, was on, like, that first layer of Booktok where it's, like, all really repetitive books. And so, and like, to each their own, like, I'm happy those books get the hype, but none of them were, like, for me. And so I mostly got it off BookTube. And so Patrick, I don't know if anyone, you guys know Patrick, he's, like, pretty big on, like, on Goodreads is where he started, and, like, on YouTube, love him. He has like a lot of that old man fantasy, and then also the brothers Gwyn. They're John Gwyn's sons. They have really great recs. They're where I've gotten like, because they're also just really well read. Like they've got a really broad, like that's where I've gotten my like historical, like the Wolf Den I got from them. I would say those two. So like mostly BookTube historically, and then now I feel like it's like all of my mutuals. I get like all of my book recommendations from now, which is really nice. And then how do I prioritize? I feel like lately it's been who wants to read it with me at any given moment. But I'm mostly just like a pretty big mood reader. So I just kind of like whatever I'm feeling in the moment. Lately, I've been trying to prioritize like continuing series, but.
Did you ever want to join BookTube? Why did you join Booktok instead?
BookTube is like too much for me. I think like the editing and the time, like TikTok was like an easier, there's fewer barriers to entry for TikTok. And so I think it was just like an easier entry point. And then I just haven't really gone past that. I've thought about it, but it just feels like sometimes editing like a 2-minute video is too much. So I can't imagine like the long form.
No, I totally get this. It's so interesting though that you prefer YouTube, because I have YouTubers that I followed for years and years. And I'm like, that's so weird that I'm so loyal to these people, but I'm not really loyal to YouTube. It's just like I like those people and that's where they choose to be content. So I hang out there to be with them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just watch the same people pretty much. I'm not like finding new people on BookTube really anymore. I have like some people on Instagram as well that I like, and I'm just very easily influenced. Like I read a book because someone put it on their Instagram story and I was like, oh, that looks cool. And then I went out and bought it and I've read it since. So very easily influenced.
Are you cover influenced? Like if it's a pretty cover, are you like, oh boy, buying that?
Yes. No, I don't need to know plots. I never read summaries. It's like vibes, the way that it's described and then the cover.
Oh, that's me too. And I'm always like, maybe I'm not looking into things enough, but I kind of love it. Now, if you like, say you like start a series on your TBR, are you like, I am committed. I have strapped myself in this roller coaster and I'm going to ride the whole thing out?
No, I'm a DNF books all the time. People have called me out on it on my like weekly reading videos because they're like, what about like XYZ you said you were reading? And I was like, nah, it's done. We're done. And then no, I definitely don't feel any pressure to continue series. No, I don't really.
How do you choose which books to own? What's your curation process? How do you decide what to buy, what to get rid of, like what to collect? Like what's your process?
I would say it's like an evolving process. There was at one point I would just go for like cheap books. But then I found I was like surrounded by like really meh books or like ones I didn't really have a ton of interest in reading anymore. And so now I'm trying to do it where I want to buy books that I've read or that are like continuations in series or whatever. So my goal is to like only have like 4 or 5 stars kind of in my collection.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So I actually love an unhaul because then I can just refill that space. And I give them to like my local bookstores and then I get credit and like can get used books. So it's a vicious cycle. Though I do have a hard time unhauling books I haven't read or like even tried. And so that's like majority of my unread books are like books I have no interest in reading anymore. And I don't want to unhaul them.
In your opinion, how much of a try do you need to give a book before you feel good DNFing?
I find if I DNF within the first 50 pages, then it's like right book, wrong time, usually. If it like I just can't seem to get connected in that period. But if I'm like 100 pages in and I'm still not feeling it, then usually I feel like it's the book and not me. But I've been like 80% into books and DNF'd them.
I think I either finish books I don't like and then I give them 3 stars.
Right, you do.
I do that way too much. Or it's like what you're talking about. Like, I mean, I've only DNF'd like 2 books this year.
No, I get that. I find usually how I can tell is if I'm physically reading it and I'm like, oh, let me see if they have an audio for this. And I like try to find the audio, then I rack it up to like 3.5 times speed. I'm like, why don't I just not read it?
Did Maddie text you about like her boundaries this month? You're probably a part of her AA meeting for reading right now.
No.
Are you? You need to help me, okay? Because Maddie needs actual help, okay? She is an addict. And I was just like, we need to go back to that quality over quantity. Like, this is out of hand. Like, I used to read 4 books a month and I was having the time of my actual life before we even started Booktok. And yes, we have many more books we want to read now. And it's so exciting to get all this momentum. But I'm like, I feel like I'm starting to books are coming down in stars because I'm not living in them enough. And I wanted to like indulge in reading instead of binge.
I get that. I feel like it's part of having like a platform as well, is like feeling like I always want to have like recommendations or like my opinions on books. Like people ask me about books all the time and I always want to have like answers. But I do agree. So we did talk about this a little bit. You brought it up a little bit in the group chat that it's like, but sometimes you read books so quickly. It's like, well, I was barely even there. I think that's why I like really long books, is because it takes a little bit longer to get through it. And I think with like series, you can be in it a little bit longer, but I would agree with that. I feel like that's also shifted my mentality recently. Like I was feeling like I had to read like a lot of new releases and whatever, but I just have not been, not interested, but I've just been prioritizing like ones I think I'll enjoy more versus like people will want to hear about.
To be honest, if we're really at my intervention meeting right now, the one that I'm truly so sad about is Mistborn, because I started the year reading Mistborn and I read the entire trilogy in a week. Yeah. And by read it, I mean I listened to it on 2x speed on audio. There's nothing wrong with 2x speed. I'm not saying that's a problem. I know a lot of our mutuals do that, and it's not that I didn't get the story, but confessions, this week at the lake, we were sitting with our brothers who are big Sanderson fans. They've reread all the series multiple times. So I just sat with them on the boat and I was like, guys, I want you from start to finish, pretend like I haven't read them. Tell me the Mistborn story. And they could, and everything they remember and all the little details and the feelings, like I like remember the high points and I could tell you the plot and I could tell you like the parts that I teared up a little bit, but it's like I don't feel like I lived in that world. I don't feel like I know the lore. I don't feel like I know that story. I feel like I need to reread it, and it's like I don't want to feel like that about my top tier series.
I totally get that. I think sometimes you like speed through books and then I'm like, did I take that in? Like, did I actually, because you just like, I find sometimes I like get so excited about the next book that I like lose momentum in the book I'm currently reading, even if I'm really, really enjoying it. But I get that. It's like that's not a nice feeling. I feel like I did that with The Way of Kings the first time I read it. Not that I read it too quickly, but I just like did not take it in. I was like, I don't understand what I've just read, anything whatsoever. People will tell me the plot points and I was like, I got nothing. But I actually think that's why I've been enjoying rereading so much recently, because I feel like some of these books I read so quickly the first time, so to reread it, you actually understand what's going on a bit more.
Like appreciate the craft that goes into making these stories.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, we all like, there's movies and shows that me and Maddie rewatch. Like I rewatched season 1 of Outlander like a crazy person. Like, because when I'm back in that, I remember like watching it. Maddie gave me the season 1 for her. It was my birthday, but she got married on my birthday, which is so selfish. So she gave me Outlander for her birthday, and she like went on a honeymoon to Scotland. And I think about it and I'm like, I remember reading that because we weren't on TikTok and nobody cared that I was like watching the show and then bought the book at 5 a.m. after staying up all night watching the show. Like nobody cared. I loved living in Scotland with Jamie Fraser so much. And I'm like, we need to do more of that. Are there TV shows that are like this, or movies that are like, you're just obsessed with, whether you binged it or you just go back to it for a comfort watch? Like, what is that for you?
My comfort movies are the Lord of the Rings movies, like 100%. So that correlates, obviously. But my TV is, I'm not big into shows. And so I like serials. So I like Criminal Minds Evolution, loving it. Law and Order SVU is my favorite. Like those kind of episodic ones. And I just rewatch them incessantly. I think it's an anxiety thing I've heard, is like where you know how it's going to end. So you just like rewatch it over and over and over again.
I struggle with TV so much since I started reading so heavily. We've tried to like tandem watch shows and read the book. Like Dark Matter. That show just came out, and we read that thriller earlier this year
and loved it.
Have you read that?
I gave 2 stars to Dark Matter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then I saw it in your favorite books video and I was like, oh no.
Well, I was just going to say, we DNF'd the show.
Oh my God.
So
I don't even think it was like not well done. I'm just like,
no.
Like it felt so slow, and I was like, the book felt so fast. And it was
the book's so fast.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Silo one? Because I keep meaning to text you because you read the whole trilogy, right?
The show was I liked the show more than the book, which I like never ever feel that way. The book was so good, but the show, they did a couple of things slightly different. And I had read the book first, so I was sitting down and watching with my husband, and it was so fun to be like, that's not how it goes. And I was like, where are they going with this? And I was like, oh my God, they slayed that so hard. Like that was even better. So
I found that with Bridgerton, actually, I preferred the show to the books.
Okay.
We hear this all the time.
Yeah.
We haven't tried the books yet.
So in the first 2 books, it's the same trope. Like, so they changed the trope on the show for book 2, but the like forced marriage thing, it's the same in the book for the first 2 books. So the show did it way better, way more tense.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the show is just
The
so
show's-
vibes. Like,
It is all vibes and music. Okay, so let's take 2 seconds and talk really quick about what didn't specifically work for you about Dark Matter.
What I didn't like about Dark Matter at the core was that I wanted like a psychological sci-fi thriller, and I felt like it was a freaking romance. And I didn't like the relationship at all. And so like the whole time we're focused on the romance, I was like, I don't care.
I think that's really important going into books that you don't like think it's going to be a psych thriller and it's actually a romance.
I think that part of it is like marketing always wants to like comp it to something. And like I find myself falling into that as well, like where you want to kind of bring a parallel for people, but then it makes their expectations, it sometimes can adjust people's expectations accordingly for like good or bad.
people are like, they'll recommend books to me. I'm like, don't recommend a book to me. You don't even know me. Like, I just think people don't know. Like, they're like, Kristen must just like smut or whatever. And I'm like, no. But like, it's so hard to put a finger on what it is that we do love about books. When you look at the evolution, like, I wonder when you started your channel, have you been straight up fantasy since day uno? Or have you like gone through seasons where you were like in a thriller stage? Or did you do rom-coms? Like, what kind of vibes have you been through? Or are you just a consistent gal?
I think I'm pretty consistent overall, but I have like I've been reading for a really long time. And so like when over the years, it's definitely changed. So like when I was in university, I just read like thrillers and like really easy whodunits and stuff like that. That was my whole, and then I did go through a rom-com phase. I don't think I had my TikTok yet. It was before. Like I do dabble in other genres when I get like sick of fantasy, but like for the most part, like all my favorites are all fantasy. From a setting perspective, like I just don't want to read about our world.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. I want to be somewhere else. And so it can be like, it doesn't have to have dragons and whatever. That's why I think historical fiction works for me as well, because I just want to be like transported somewhere else.
I think that's why contemporary romance doesn't hit for us too. Like what Kristen was just saying, she's like, people will recommend smut to Kristen knowing that she really loves romance, which is true. But like Kristen rates contemporary romance even lower than I do. Like I think we just don't like being like on a college campus.
Yeah.
Living in a dorm room.
Yeah, no.
Been there, done that. I don't need like...
What made you want to share online, and what still motivates you to keep sharing online to this day?
I think I just am like such a nerd at heart. Like I love to talk about books. And so I've got all my friends, I bullied them into a book club finally. And so that like I found really rewarding, like having them read the same books as me and like being able to talk about them and stuff. But they're like literary fiction books and like they don't like fantasy. And so I just needed an outlet. I was like, I really like talking about this stuff. I just want to like put it out there. Oh, actually, you know what it was? I recommended Mistborn to my friend and she like read the whole trilogy and loved it. Her husband read the whole trilogy, loved it. And I was like, this is such a high. I need to replicate this. But I think in the moment it was more so I was like, I don't really see the type of books that I like reflected on TikTok. And so I just want to like put them out there. And I was so incorrect. Like they were there. I just was on the wrong layer. And then I think what motivates me to stay on it, I mean, definitely like the motivation ebbs and flows, but I think again, just like having an outlet to talk about like a favorite hobby and like the community as well, I think is super motivating.
I just feel like Maddie like didn't know how to have relationships until Booktok. And I feel like it's such an exciting thing to like find your people. Like Maddie will never leave. Like if every single one of our followers was like, F you, bye, and they left, Maddie'd be like, I'm here for my friends.
I'm still posting. I get that. No, I totally get that. Yeah. It's so nice to have people like that are just equally as obsessed. I don't think I realized, like it always felt like such an outlier, like how obsessed I was with reading, and just to find so many people that are equally as obsessed. I'm like, these are my people. I found them finally.
Yeah. What does your following mean to you? Does it translate into opportunities, relationships, collaborating, credibility?
My following, I really like the group that I like have. It feels like we're just this like really high fantasy nerd group over in the corner. And it really means a lot to me that people are like so invested in what I'm reading. And like, I feel like there's consistent people that comment all the time, and I love to like know what they're reading. And I just really like the opportunity to talk to so many people about books. I think that's really special. And I also feel like my following's like, everyone's so lovely. Like, I feel like you get some people that are super toxic, like when a video will go crazy and you get like really, really mean people in the comments. Like, I don't want you here. I posted this for my people. I'm not sure what you're doing here. But I would also say like, yeah, the people that I've met through this has been awesome. I think that's definitely been the highlight.
When the haters come in, it's so funny. You're like, how did you get here? You didn't get the invite. I did not send an invite.
This wasn't for you. They're just, I can't get over the how passionately people feel about like subjective things.
I mean, obviously Realm of the Elderlings, but
Yes.
what stories have impacted your life and in what ways?
I feel like a big one that was like pretty like really helpful for me. Like I've had anxiety, and so like that's something that's really helped me on that was actually the Harry Potter, which sucks because J.K. Rowling is such a we don't like her. But that series really helped me like work through a lot of my anxiety. Like I don't know why necessarily. So that I think has been really impactful. I don't know. I feel like that some series just feel like safe spaces away from like the rest of the world. And so I feel like for me, that one would probably be like Faithful and the Fallen and Realm of the Elderlings. I think are, and honestly, Davabad. Those aren't my like top three, but those are the ones that like feel like this little hideaway.
So you talk to people about books online, but like, are you also the person who's going to talk to people in real life? Like find a way to make every conversation lead into books?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like, I feel like people find out, like, people know that in my friend group, I'm, like, the book one. But I try not to talk about it, like, incessantly. Because I don't want to bother people that are not as into it. But,
Yeah.
usually.
Okay, you step into a magical portal. The door opens to the portal, and you're 10 years in your future, and you have your dream life. Where are you? What are you wearing? What are you reading? How are you making money? What is this?
Oh, God. Okay. I've stepped through a portal.
Uh-huh.
I'm on in the mountains somewhere, like near a city, because I am actually quite extroverted for how much I read. So in a city, but I'm on like the side of a mountain in a cabin that I have with beautiful views. How I make money is by critiquing books, not editing. I don't want to edit. I don't want to be part of the publishing industry, nothing. I just want to like, a blurber maybe. Maybe I write the blurbs. That'd be good. And it's really warm out. Not like hot, like Canada warm. And there's lots of animals around and people that I love. And did you ask what book I'm reading? Fool's Errand.
I
It
like
is.
your portal answer.
I
feel
love
like
that
we need to
answer.
do like
Thank
a log cabin meetup because I'm all about that life too. I mean, I feel like it's like I love being in nature, and then I'm like, okay, this was great. My reading's done now. Now let's go party and get yummy food and like go thrift and be out in the world with people. So somebody asked, what was your first video that really popped off? Like, what did you talk about? What was the theming there?
I had a couple of videos, like it was like literally my second video. It was like during that era of where you would like put the book, it would like only show the pages and you were like where each book is 10 out of 10. Like that was it. And then it was, I think Faithful and the Fallen maybe? I can't remember. And I like flipped over the books. Like it was very simple. And then the other one that blew up was, I was like, these are 5 books you have to read. And I pulled off 5 books from my shelf. Like I didn't talk. I think they were 30 seconds. So.
Shy wants to know how it feels to be the queen guru of fantasy.
Oh,
I mean, I don't feel like I'm the queen guru of fantasy. I just feel like I've read a lot of fantasy.
Yes, you certainly have.
what's your zodiac?
Me? I'm a Virgo.
Yes, she is.
Not us both being Virgos.
See, I knew we were getting along right away.
I knew that's why Maddie liked you because there's something about you that reminds her of me.
What are you, Maddie?
Like, what am I?
Yeah.
I'm a Scorpio, but I have a Libra rising, which I think extreme tempers my Scorpio. But I would definitely say like my intensity and my passion for things and the fact that I want to like sweat, read, and cry at every book is definitely my Scorpio. How do we talk books with people who get super pretentious about what they read? And I think this is kind of what you were touching on with videos that pop off, Margaret, that like you get, would you say that the mean people are actually like very pretentious people? Like that's their end?
Partially, I think a lot of them are just like people like in my circle. It's like people that feel like every list needs to have like George R. R. Martin on it. But I think in general, like if you mean like people IRL, I do get what you mean. What's helped me with that is I find the people that are the most pretentious about books don't read, and they're generally just feel small that you read more than them is how I interpret it a lot of the times. Like when you get the comment, oh my God, I wish I had time to read. Like, okay. Do you watch a TV show every day for an hour? You could read that. Like everyone has time to read. It's just how you prioritize your time. And so I usually find that's usually the vibe that I get from people when they are like pretentious about that kind of thing. And then the other thing is just own it. Like for me, a long time I was like embarrassed. Yeah, about fantasy. Like I felt like I should be lighting like the literary fictions and like that's what you're supposed, like if you're well read, it's supposed to be like all the classics and da-da-da. And then at some point I was just like, I don't care. This is what I enjoy. I enjoy reading about dragons flying around and I don't care. And you just kind of own it.
Yes.
I love that
And don't
answer.
apologize for it. That's awesome. Me and Maddie talk so much shit behind the scenes when we get comments like that. Like we'll just like giggle about it and we're like, oh my God, this person thinks we just think it's so funny. And I'm like, what would it be like if it was me by myself?
Yeah, sometimes I think you just need to like say it out loud to realize how silly some of the comments are.
Oh, your favorite special edition.
One that I own or that exists in the world.
Either way.
If it exists in the world, it's the Illumicrate. I think it's Illumicrate, maybe. I don't know, of the Greenbone Saga.
I love that so much. I'm manifesting that it will come to me someday somehow and not be $800. But yes.
So that, and then I think the original run of the Dandelion Dynasty with Broken Binding, that was like the UK editions. Like I know the Midnight ones is up, but like the UK edition with like the hardcover. And then nicest that I own, I honestly don't own that many special editions because they're all just so expensive. Like the Canadian dollar is bad. And so everything's like, it's just, in the UK and the US, it's tough. Oh, probably my Sanderson, like, Secret Project ones. I do love those.
Yeah, those are beautiful. They even feel beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you like Sarah J. Maas books? Throne of Glass is Amanda's fave.
Not really. I think that I have read, so I read Throne of Glass, like, I think when I was like 16 maybe or something. Like I read it when I was quite young and I really liked it. Like I think I gave the first book 5 stars. And then I think I stopped reading 2 and 3 or 3 or something. I always say that like I stopped reading when it was like okay to be Team Cole. So it's been a while. And then I like DNF'd A Court of Mist and Fury and like I don't know. She just doesn't work for me. I want to like her the way that other people do, but I don't know why her writing just doesn't work for me.
It is really hard for a very popular series to not be for you. And I feel like it's just like, all right, it's just not for me.
Yeah.
How many series are you in the middle of currently? You're probably not in the middle of that many, are you?
Yeah. That I'm like, actually, I think I have them written down. I think maybe like 10. Because I do like I've read the first book in a lot of series, but like ones that I could actively continue probably like 10. And then ones where I'm caught up like 550 million.
Mary Kate wants to know what your favorite thriller or mystery is, which I also want to know.
My favorite thriller or mystery is Local Woman Missing.
Who's that by?
I think Mary Kubiko, something like that. I read her newest release and it's not as good, but Local Woman Missing is friggin' excellent.
Are there any romantic fantasies that you do like and recommend, or is the genre not for you? I think this is related to your Sarah J. Maas answer.
I like romance. Fantasy. A lot of fantasy with romance books, and I've made a couple of videos about it, but I have yet to find a romantasy or like a fan row that's worked for me really well. I really want to get into the genre. Like I do love I get so obsessed with my ships in my books. Like I do want to enjoy it. I'm not sure why so many haven't worked for me, but I'm considering starting like a bit of a journey where I'm going to try a bunch. And so I'll be looking for recommendations.
Have you tried fan fiction? Does that work better?
No, I have not started my fan fiction journey. You and Allie have made me want to read Manacled, but I'm scared. I have it on my Kindle. Like I downloaded it because of all your videos and I'm scared.
Yeah, you don't need to be scared because you read grimdark. I think
Okay.
that people give up, like we like give the caveat of like be careful with manacle, check trigger warnings. It's gonna rip your heart out. You're gonna die because we're recommending it to Sarah J. Maas readers. We're recommending it to romance and contemporary romance readers, and so it's
Okay.
like you need to prepare yourself. This isn't like kinky dark romance. This is like rip your heart out dark romance. But like that's your shit, Margaret.
I'll read it in August. There you go. I'll read it on that weekend. You guys can hold my hand.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Gina will perish.
Oh my gosh, that's right, because she's got that beautiful binding too.
Oh my god. I think she's reread Manacled at this point.
Oh my
I'm
god.
about to. Like, I'm about to reread it. Just
Oh my
thinking
gosh.
about it is making me want to.
Katie says, do you have a series you'd like to see made into TV or movie? And Alyssa says, what's your most recommended nonfiction book?
Yes, I want to see the Greenboat Saga as a movie or a TV show. I need to see Hilo on the big screen. And then what's my favorite nonfiction? I really liked, oh my gosh, what was it called? Cultish? It's like a very popular nonfiction. Like, I'm not super well read in the nonfiction genre. I like do dabble. And then Eric Larson has a couple of good books, but I would say Cultish. Ever since I read that, I like spot cults everywhere. I'm always on the hunt for a cult.
How stoked are we for Fury of the Gods?
I'm so excited. Oh my god. I reread book 1 and it just got me so much more. I think I talked about it in a video I want to say recently where I originally read Shadow of the Gods like off right after I read Faithful and the Fallen. And like it doesn't top Faithful and the Fallen for me. Like that's god tier, but I'm so excited. I'm just excited to get more John Gwynn content because it's been a minute and I've really missed new content from him.
Okay, so Suzanne said that they're heading to the beach this week. Any fun, light, spicy recs to take along?
Oh. Okay, I was gonna say light and fun, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. Amazing. But there's zero spice. She's like a 65-year-old woman. Fun and spicy. Oh, I don't have my romances up there anymore. Oh, have you read The Hating Game? Again, very basic, but that's the one that got me into rom-com.
What is your next series or series that you're excited to get into for the end of 2024?
I really want to try the Keepers trilogy or series by J.A. Andrews. It's like on KU, so I'm really excited for that one. Ancillary Justice, I'm excited for. I don't know that I have like big one, like a big one up next.
You tried Malazan or Malazan. I think we say it Malazan and the British say it Malazan, so I never know.
Yeah. I usually say Malazan as well, yeah.
Malazan. You tried that and it wasn't for you?
Actually, you know what? That's a great point. Maybe I should try Malazan again. No, I loved the first book. I gave it 5 stars. Excellent. It is so much brain power. Book 2 didn't like as much. It like switched again. I'm such a character driven reader and it like took us way over here in the world and I didn't really care. But apparently book 3 goes back to the original and like everyone tells me that book 3 is like the best. And so I do want to go back into that. That's actually a great point. I could go into that one.
What is your favorite audiobook for a road trip?
I love a whodunit for a road trip. My sister and I are actually have a road trip coming up, and so usually we'll get like Lucy Foley's newest release.
What's your favorite, I think I know this one, but what's your favorite historic fiction to recommend? And do you have an era you prefer in the genre?
The Wolf Den is 100% my favorite historical fiction, and my favorite era, ancient. Is that an era? I don't know. Like, I just want the farther back in time, the better.
Fantasy romance question. Would you ever try The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent?
Yeah, for sure. That one is one that I've seen go around a lot.
So in your favorite books, who is your favorite fantasy couple?
I'm obsessed with the couple in the Gale Song trilogy. And then I also really do like Hilo and Wen.
I love them too. I always forget about them, but Hilo and Wen are like goals. They are couple goals. That's from Jade City.
Mm-hmm.
The Romance from Rick and Rose. I love that as well.
Really?
I wanted them to be a throuple though.
Same.
I was rooting for a throuple the whole time.
The situation in The Mask of Mirrors, I think, started going downhill for me in that trilogy when I saw who was going to pair off, because I was like, are you kidding me? Okay, Michelle wants to know, what's your rec for someone just starting their fantasy journey?
So my go-to is always Mistborn, just because I feel like it's a really good, a lot of people say that it's YA. I heavy disagree, but it is like, it has like YA tropes in there. And then I also think Davabad can be a really good one, because again, it feels like a very comfortable, like a familiar setting that you're in book one. And so I think those two can be really good ones to get into the adult fantasy genre.
Somebody wants to know if you've read The Song of Achilles.
Or Cersei?
No. I have Cersei. And I love Emotional Damage. I don't know why I haven't read them, but I'm scared.
I want to talk about this. Someone just said, have you read The Expanse?
Yep, I read the whole thing.
That's
I love The Expanse overall. It's one, again, where like I really just like the world and the politics. Like some of the writing is like, in the first book, there's like some weird like portrayals of women and like in comps like that they've like acknowledged in interviews. So as a warning, but overall, I feel like the series is just so fun to be in, and it's 9 books. And the ending I would say is like, I really liked the last book, the last like chapter. I'm like, but really good series. Love The Expanse.
Oh, these questions are for you, Kristen.
What? Oh, Zodiac Academy?
Have you read that, Margaret?
No. I'm worried I won't like it.
I'm sure you won't. I'm actually sure that you won't. Based off of this entire conversation.
Oh, no.
Like, because Maddie was like, oh, do I jump in? And I said, no, you will ruin it for me.
Oh, no.
Because she'll be coming in with all of her opinions and judgments. And I'll be like, I know, but I love it. So, like, I think of it as fluff. Feels like you're at Hogwarts, but they're like adults in college.
And it's like smutty.
And it's smutty, and there's like bullying, and there's like a lot of tropes, but they're like somehow putting in every trope that I love, but it's all magical. Like my new book boyfriend is Darius from it, and he just turns into a dragon, and I'm like, that's so hot.
My smutty one, actually, Kate, to someone's earlier question, Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. Super off-brand for me. Loved it.
Loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your best dragon books?
Yeah, I feel like Of Blood and Fire is definitely up there for me, just because of the relationship between the person and the dragon. I really like. I don't like when dragons can talk, and in most dragon books, the freaking dragon can talk. Another that I really like is Echo Saga. I made a video about this recently. Like, I only really enjoy the first 3, but it can be read as a trilogy, and I love that. That's great dragon writing. I really like, Rage of Dragons, but they're not super, involved. And then I'm currently reading The Aurelian Cycle. Amazing dragon reps, and they don't talk.
Yeah, I don't love the talking animals. I think I'm going to alienate a lot of people, but, I can take or leave animal companions, period.
Maddie low-key hates animals.
I do not!
I feel like I knew this about your wolf. You made a comment about Storm, and I feel like I infer that you were take it or leave it about the animal companion trope.
Listen.
Literally, I have the cutest dog in the world. She doesn't, I just know, I'm like, Charlie, don't go near her. She hates all animals.
Oh my God.
Literally, there was a cat, outside of their
Kristen.
house, and Maddie was like, we can't even keep this mangy cat. And I was like,
I think I really enjoy them so much more when they don't talk.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I was recently reading The Spear Cuts Through Water, which is literally the only book I've ever read, I think, that you have not read. And I'm telling you, the animal situations in that book just about drove me mad. I mean, the ending, fucking transcendent. I just was like, I can't believe he pulled this off. But there were so many animals, every single thing. I was just like, why are the monkeys talking? Why?
Okay, maybe I'll like that. You just moved this book up my TBR. All this animal talk.
Oh.
Storm is the love of my life. People are hating on you
I
Maddie
know.
has
I
been
love
outed.
Storm. Guys, this is why I can't bring you anywhere. I love Storm. It's fine.
But you don't like animals. It's a fact of
I am
life.
deathly allergic to cats. It's not my fault.
I think that's what it is.
High allergies, will die, will suffer asthmatic death around cats. It's not my fault. Guys, I love all of you and your animals. I'm sorry. I love
You are
for
gonna
you.
hate Rainwild Chronicles with a burning passion.
I didn't find it at all.
But they're annoying. They're annoying. And so if you're predisposed to, if you're already on the edge, Those freaking dragons are gonna tip you over.
So what you love about Margaret is that she loves animals and I don't.
I just love that you let your nerd flag fly. Like, you have zero issues with that, and it gives all of us permission. You also have very informative videos, and even though we love entertainment, and you are entertaining, I feel like you're helpful. Like, sometimes we just want somebody to be helpful. It's easy to be entertained, but it's hard to feel like you're actually learning something from someone, and you're so eloquent in the way that you do it. It's nice, too, to know that Maddie has found a twin flame online, because I can't with all these long series like you two. And you filled that spot so beautifully. You inspire her TBR, and I can get some of the trickle down parts.
Thank you. That's so sweet. That's so kind.
I feel like when I found you, I wanted my dad's recs, but more of them. And maybe some of the stuff that's been written more currently that maybe he hasn't caught up on yet. And I think the first series I read that you recommended was maybe it was The Faithful and the Fallen, or maybe it was actually the Greenbone Saga. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, yes, here's somebody who understands that what I need from a story. It's like something that makes me feel something that like keeps me turning pages, not because it's just like addictive, fast pacing, but because I care. I know that if she says it's 5 stars, it's because it made her feel something. I just feel like you haven't let me down yet. And so I feel completely solid recommending you to other people. Yeah. I'm like, what I love about Margaret is that she is fucking honest, okay? Everyone and their mother is raving about the Sun Eater series right now. Margaret gave The Empire of Silence 2 stars.
Oh, no.
I love you, Margaret. Everyone's like, if you're a fantasy reader, you have to love The Name of the Wind. Margaret's like, I am unhauling this. I don't even want to own it. I'm like, I fucking love you for this. Like, thank you. Because I think for someone as widely read as you are, who reads as chunky of books as you do, it is easy for people to be like, oh, she's so pretentious. But you're not. You're just like, everyone loves this and thinks this is the greatest literature of fantasy, and I hate it. It gives you so much credibility. I trust you so impeccably. And so thank you. Thank you for your service, especially to me, but also to all of Booktok, and especially to this corner of high fantasy readers. You keep us honest. And I think that's really important, because it's not about reading an impressive number of pages. It's about your experience while reading. It's about loving what you read, whether it's 200 pages or 2,000 pages. It's like not a competition, and you don't make it competitive at all.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That's so kind. I don't know how to react. I'm really glad that that's how what comes across. I feel like that's really validating to hear that's how I'm perceived, because I do feel that's what I'm trying to get across. And I'm so sorry I don't like the Sun Eater series. I'm considering trying it again because it's so much hype now, but I so disliked it.
I think it's totally fine. Why don't you share what you didn't love about it?
Something that bothers me with Name of the Wind and Sun Eater both is there's this I don't know, this pretentious air to the writing somehow. I don't know. And I just don't like the main characters. And so I'm hearing them talk about their life, and I'm like, I don't like you. And I don't want to hear about your life. I just feel like it said it was going to be this huge thing here. And the first book is this much, you know? And so I found it a bit misleading the way it was marketed.
Specifically Sun Eater?
Yeah, specifically Sun Eater. I've not continued in the series. I've considered it now that everyone's freaking out about Howling Dark, but I've only read the first one.
That's what I told Kristen, is she's like, do I need to read this? Because this is also on my TBR. And I was like, honestly, the middle's kind of a slog. I am going to continue the series because I think the end was really, really strong, but I think it's probably plot forward, not character forward. And I don't think you're supposed to like Hadrian. I think Hadrian is do we like him? Is he good? Okay. That's the question. So for someone who loves characters, I don't think Hadrian's going to be one that you just love to love. I don't think, and it's not multiple POV. So it's it does get kind of sloggy in the middle.
I'd have to reread it now if I were to continue. I don't remember it enough, but I remember the ending being okay. I was already so, you know, when you're already checked out of a book mentally, it just doesn't matter if the ending lands.
Yeah. Well, and there's already enough noise around it. Sometimes I wonder, I'm if we're all reading the same books, then everybody's hearing the same noise. Shouldn't we bring something new to the table? Because personally, I kind of don't like being everybody's reading the same shit.
Since we've just, put all of our faves on your chopping block tonight, I do really want to know, because I don't remember looking, do you or do you not like Red Rising, and do you or do you not like Dune? And it's obviously we love you. We love you if you gave both of those 1 star, but we just want to know, and we want to know why.
I love Red Rising. Red Rising, the first book, I remember having this moment, like I read it years ago, and I remember being like, I don't even know if I'm liking this book, but like physically could not stop reading it. Like it was so addictive. And then by the end, I was obsessed. And then book 2 obviously is just like next level. And I really liked book 3. I have not continued on because I'm scared, but I will eventually. But I love Red Rising. And then Dune, I've not read. I started it a couple of years ago, and I just couldn't really find like a foothold in it. I think I read like 30 or 40%, and then I put it down. But you, Maddie, have inspired me. I'm going to pick it back up again eventually.
This is why I made the guide, because my reading experience of Dune is so impacted by my dad guiding us through it. And so it's like I can't separate my experience from that. And we read Dune as a standalone too. So it's like...
Yes, I've heard you, yes.
There's like Dune lovers who are like, how do you love Dune and you won't read past book 1? And it's like, Dune the series is a villain origin story. Like the hero of Dune becomes the villain. Like, spoiler alert, Frank Herbert says that in all of his interviews. He was telling a cautionary tale about leaders who are corrupt, okay? Mm-hmm. But in book 1, that's not clear. So you're seeing a hero's journey. Like, book 1 follows a hero's journey, and I love it so much that I'm just like, to me, that's a beautiful story on its own. No disrespect to what Frank Herbert was trying to do. Like, I think that's a valid thing too, but it's like, it's sacred to me as a hero's journey. So that's why I stopped at 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, when I saw you talk about your guide, I was like, okay, this is what I needed. So now I can try, because I do really want to, because I feel like the way you speak about it is what I really like in fantasy books. And so I do think I will enjoy it. I think I was just like right book, wrong time when I tried to pick it up earlier.
Yeah, I think that's so common. It's like, that's why it's hard to judge a book harshly, because you're like, it could just be the time. It could just be the time.
Yeah. And he wrote it in the 60s, and we feel the same way about a lot of stuff that Orson Scott Card wrote. Like, we have to like suspend our modern mindset to appreciate what it was for that time, Yeah.
Oh
I think that's all of our favorites. We've talked about all, and now we know where you stand on them all. You're the best for doing this with us.
Yes, Margaret.
This is so fun. Thank you guys for having me.
I'm so glad we're going to meet in real life.
I know. It's so soon, next month. I'm so excited.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Margaret. We'll see you guys later.